Hello everybody, my name is Ranko. Welcome to my new channel. First thing I want to show you on the outside is the paint. I had some questions about how this was applied and what it is. This is Rhino-Line paint. This is something that you would use for bed liners and spraying in bed liners. It was off of Amazon. I think it was about a few $100s and 6 bottles. You could even get colors. I chose to just go white because I'm planning on using this as just an underlayer. It's been on there probably for about 3 years or so, and it's held up really well. No complaints there. It was very easy to apply. I would never use this as a main layer because unless you have a big clean garage or a spray booth, where you can control the environment, because I did this outside and as you can see there's some streaking and stuff like that, but as far as the durability of it, it's held up real well. And all I'm going to do now is just either have it painted over this or roll something on and just go from there. Next thing I want to show you is I'm going to show you the tires. The tires are all-terrain tires, I believe Falcon or something like that. They've been really good. They've been on there for a year or two, and just very, very good. I don't have any complaints with them. They're not loud on the road. They're not, I haven't seen any difference other than the fact that when I'm in sand and stuff like that, I feel much more confident that I'm able to just go a little bit further. Again, this is a 2-wheel drive van. It's very well balanced as far as the weight, and I made sure I balanced everything inside when I was building it, but it is a 2-wheel drive van and it is something that's heavy. So I don't take it off-road or, rock climbing or anything like that. This is just a van. I don't want to destroy it. It's an older van and it's something that I use for camping and just recreational activities, if you will. So up front, obviously the same tire. What I thought it looked really cool is I took off the hub cap things and then I put back the covers for the lug nuts. It just kind of adds it a little, adds a little look to it. I think that looks pretty cool. I also added these before my Tennessee trip. This was about 2 months ago. I added these little flares or whatever you would call them. They're just little, rubber text material flares, and they just stick on with 3M tape. I added them on there, and I was like, this is gonna fall off by the time I get to out of Florida, and they didn't. They've been on there. I cleaned it very well with alcohol, and then I stuck them on. I'm going to have to order another set for the back. You can cut your own and customize your own. If you search on Amazon for like fender flares or flexible, something like that, you should be able to find it. I took off the bumper, I painted it, the front grille, everything cleaned up, everything that I needed to. I would like possibly in the future to have just maybe another inch or two as far as the suspension lift, so maybe just some leveling blocks or something. Eventually, if this thing is built and done, I wouldn't mind putting it on another chassis. I have seen some builds that were put on like 2500 truck chassis, and I think that looks just amazing. Gives you a little more clearance, it's a little more, so maybe in the future, we'll see. But for now, this is, I may just lift it up just a little bit. It rides perfectly, everything is fine. So I don't want to mess with what works. Okay, so from the front, I have a light bar off of Amazon. It's been on there for 2 years or so. Works really good when I need it in the forest at night. It illuminates and it's basically on the switch on my dashboard. That's connected to the van battery. So I'm gonna pop the hood and just show you what I did on the inside. Let's do this. All right, so from here, I just basically took as much stuff apart as I could, cleaned it up. I changed my filter, the oil gets changed regularly, and the van runs really well. The only modification that I did here is, if you wanna look at over here, taking off the box for the evaporator right here, and cleaned the evaporator coil because it was really, really nasty. Again, I did this on my own. Not recommending to anyone to do this because it's there for a reason. I chose to do it because I open my windows when I'm driving and I don't need to have the motor bring me in fresh air. So basically what I did is I blocked off, there's a gate that opens when you mix fresh air from outside. I blocked that off for a reason, so stuff, debris don't come in, because this is your filter right here. And as you can see, it may stop leaves and stuff, but eventually like all the pollen and all the debris from the tree and stuff will make its way inside of there, and then it just causes a problem on there. Other than that, everything is stock. I believe this is the 5.3 V8 motor. It's not that efficient. I think like 13 or so miles to the gallon the way I have it set up with the tent and everything on there. And you know, it's a camping van. It's not something I use day to day, so it's totally okay. So here, if you want to show, I have my cable for my light bar. I have it fused here, and then it goes to a switch on the inside through the firewall. Everything's been sealed and good. So far, no problems. This van was a construction van and for my company, and you know, we always use the fleet service to maintain it. So it's been maintained very well. And other than the transmission that went out, you know, I haven't had any problems with the engine. When I did get it, I took the valve cover off and cleaned, you know, changed the gaskets and everything, and spark plugs and cables and all the basic stuff that I'm able to do. So that's it as far as the engine. And then up front here, I did install this this little wind, if you will, spoiler hood guard or whatever that thing is called. The only other modification is I didn't like the water that comes from the here from the windshield wipers, so I chose to install my own here and here, if you can see right there, and then basically that sprays a much bigger pattern onto the windshield, and I'm able to clean my windshield much better. So all I did there was reroute the hose from the pump that generally would provide the water to your windshield wipers. And another thing here, if we want to show, is I use some heavy duty silicone to silicone this right here, because this is again where a lot of that debris would fall in and all that, and it would make its way into the evaporator and the HVAC system. So for now, I haven't had any issues. And again, my AC system works by just recycling the inside air. It doesn't mix it with the outdoor air. When I want outdoor air, I open up the windows by just rolling down the window. I have a portable air conditioner that I keep in this cabinet right here when it's really hot. And what I discovered is with using one of those portable air conditioners is that, you know, any of those air conditioners, even the fancy ones, the $1,000 ones, they rely on taking out hot air, right? They cool the condensing coils by removing that air outside. Well, what that does is, when you think about it, you have this sealed van, partially sealed, right? It removes the air from the van. Well, an air will be replaced, but that air comes from outside. So now you're bringing in this, you know, air from outside. Well, what I don't want to do is I don't want to be next to a campfire or something like that where there's smoke or contaminants and, you know, possibly trigger smoke detectors, because I'm using the air conditioner and, you know, it's forcing a big amount of air outside of the van because that's the natural process. And then it's replenishing that air because it comes back in through the cracks, through natural ventilation, if you will. So what I came up with is I came up with this opening here that I'm going to show you. And basically what that is it's just an opening with a screen, so, you know, insects and things don't go in. And that goes into the air conditioner to cool the coils, and then that same air gets rejected out here, right? And I put it a little bit away so that way you're not recycling the heat. And then the hose that, you know, you would put through a window usually or you know, outside, gets vented here, and it's a perfect fit, and it just comes out here and basically it just dumps out the heat here. I find it works very well. The reason why I don't have it in the van is because this electrical system isn't nearly strong enough to power an air conditioner like that, unless I go to like a variable speed compressor, which, you know, is some of these newer models. We may see that a little more present in there, and that draws much less power at startup, and it's not as big of a load, if you will. But until then, I basically just keep it in my garage, and then when I go camping in the summertime, I use one of those little portable room air conditioners you would get at Home Depot. I only use it when I'm plugged into shore power because I have a 30 amp plug that allows me to use, you know, regular household appliances, or 30 amp shore power plug, and then breaker panel, and then all this as you've seen. So moving on, that's the air conditioner system. Right here is our short plug, and this is just an inexpensive Amazon short plug that you would see on an RV. I have a cable at home that is stored for when I need it, and that plugs in there, and you go to a campground and you just plug it in. Oh, one thing that I want to point out is that's missing here is the tent. I have a tent in my warehouse, and the tent goes up there. I will show a picture or a video from another video, but basically it's a Nature's Nest tent, and it just opens like that, and then 2 or 3 people can crawl in there. Two adults, I would say, comfortably, and it's the best upgrade that I did to the van. Up on top, jump up here, I have a solar panel that's dirty again. Here's my little Amazon fan that leaked a bunch of times, and I finally got it to stop leaking by putting some tape on it, weatherproof tape. All right, moving on inside. Okay. This here. This is a really cool thing. This is I'm originally Serbian, or from former Yugoslavia, however you will, but we are big coffee drinkers, and this right here is a jezva. It's a coffee apparatus, boiling bowl that you put coffee in and you make coffee. So I'll have to show that in a video, and this is sent to me by a dear friend Igor from Serbia, so thank you. Take out some of these covers and we'll flip the seat. This is my little Walmart table that sets up and works really good. Flip, and then this still works, sliding back and forth, and you can have some reclined seats there. Let me show you the from here. You can see, so these covers my nice mom helped me make. This is 1/2-inch insulation board, something that you would put into walls for new construction homes. At least here in Florida, that's what you know, the way that we do it. And basically I made it to, and I sewed this up, and I made it to where it can just insert in the window, and you have a white and a black side depending on your preference. You can just flip the windows. So you can see it just kind of sits in here, and then it just gets pushed in. I really wanted to make a easy solution for this, because I tried doing something with magnets, and it was just you know, a pain to do, to sew in there, and you know, nothing really that I've tried kind of holds in there as well as this, and it really gives you a lot of privacy, because here, when I close this, you can see, I mean, it's just pitch black. There's nothing, like there's no way to even, there's no light, nothing comes through. Purchased this from Walmart. This just goes into the front window. You can get that, and then all of these have their own window blind. So I'm gonna put this over here since we're done with this front door. Still haven't found a little table place, but when I'm camping or, you know, doing any sort of outdoor activities, what I do is I put it right there. Moving on, I have a fire extinguisher mounted right there for safety. It is held by a very weak zip tie, and it holds it in there perfectly, but when needed it can just be obviously ripped out right there. You can see that. Here's the manufacturer or distributor, whatever, probably the distributor. Most of this stuff we know where it comes from, but the distributor is that. So for quality wise, again, it's really heavy duty. Nothing bad to say about that. The only thing I have to do is loosen these things right here a little bit, and maybe put some grease to make it easier to rotate. And basically the way that it works is there's this lever that I found this to be the least expensive option that I had. So I reupholstered the top right there. Let me show you the dash. So what I want to do is I want to put a phone holder. This is my phone that I use, and basically right there, that's gonna be my phone holder. The wallet goes here, some other things go down there, and then I have you know, some other things that I keep here. Basically, yeah, this turns on the light bar. So about the dash, it's all stock. I took the whole dash off, painted it, cleaned it, put it back together, repaired some wiring, and installed a touchscreen little Amazon you know, CD player because of the backup camera. That's kind of the main reason. I'm a very big fan of airplanes and, you know, things like that. So what I want to do is I want to install an overhead panel, and basically that overhead panel will you know, have all of the switches that I can dissect the van's electrical. Basically, like turn on the fuel pump, turn on, you know, the radiator fans, turn on, you know, all these things to just kind of make it more mechanical. And, you know, this is a very, very simple van as far as the electricity goes in here, you know, the factory electrical systems. So it should be fairly simple, but it's just a little fun project. That way it's kind of a, you know, a cool thing. You got to get in and turn on a fuel pump and, you know, kind of to make it more mechanical. Other than that, it's very comfortable. I've liked the stock seats, the steering wheel, everything is good. It does have 2 airbags, which, you know, that's the safety factor of it, which is good. I took off all these, you know, and replaced some of these things that were missing. Still have some parts at home that I'm gonna do. One very cool thing that I'm thinking about doing, to install like door switches, and those little switches, in my theory, should go somewhere inside the door right here to get installed, so that way once the door pushes them, they cut the circuit, right? So once you would close the door, the switch would be you know, it would cut the power, and when you open it, the switch would energize whatever you have. And what I'm thinking of having is underneath this right here to put like a light bar. You know, nothing really bright, but, you know, just something that doesn't drain a lot of power, but it's just something, right? Because when it's pitch black, it'd be nice to have this luxury of basically opening the door and having light, and then when you close it, the light goes off and there's nothing that's draining the battery. I mean, there's flashlights and stuff like that, but, you know, sometimes I don't want to fuss with, you know, having a flashlight and all this, and it's just something that I think would work really good. So that could be a future project. Guys, a lot of this stuff is work in progress, but basically I got it to a point where I'm comfortable in it. Everything works, it's safe, everything's sealed, what needs to be sealed, and I use it, and that's it. So, electrical, underneath the van. So I didn't want the battery to be inside the van. I don't care how safe and lithium and all that. I didn't want it in the van because I don't want that thing blowing up and while I'm sleeping in there. So that thing lives outside, and it's out back. I'll show it to you. There's some heavy duty cables right here that connected to the battery. I have a battery switch right here. I have a solar breaker right there that turns on after the battery switch. I have an inverter, and I have a shore transfer switch right there. That shore transfer switch triggers the current from the shore power, and it automatically bypasses everything, so you don't have 2 powers competing and creating a short, basically. In lack of terms, I'm not an electrical engineer. I also have, from this side, I'll show it to you when we move, I have a RV panel that is combined 12 volts and 120 volts, has separate circuitry for safety. It's an actual RV panel. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to add another solar panel because I could use a little bit more stronger or faster charging, and possibly have to upgrade the Rover from Renogy. It's a 20 amp right now, but we'll see. What I'm going to do here is just have a door and some fans, some 12 volt fans, so when this is closed right here, then that power to those fans is always going to be hooked up to the battery. So there's temperature sensors that I ordered and some circuitry that's going to be created to where that temperature sensor reaches a certain temperature that I find not to be safe for this, and then when it exceeds that temperature, those fans will kick on automatically and just recycle some of the air to cool that down. Just a simple solution to overheating, you know, electrical. Basically the only thing that's going to be running ever when we are not in the van may be the inverter because of the fridge. You know, and that just will help circulate some of that air. Obviously, when the van is in storage, it gets shut off here and it charges up with this 100 amp battery in one day with that 100 watt or whatever it is little solar panel on the roof when it's clean. All right, so moving back right here, we're gonna use this little garage sale expandable chair to sit down. There we go. All right, so switches. Let's turn on some lights. So basically this isn't finished and I want it like that for now. Why? Because I want to make sure nothing is rubbing. Like you see here, we have some wires that need to be protected that are rubbing against metal. Stuff is moved. So I want to make sure that it's all good before I close this up. What this is going to receive is a 12 volt decorative wall that I'm going to make out of plywood, thin plywood, 1/4 inch. That's going to have like a picture of a bear or something like that, so you could turn on a switch and it'll just illuminate a outline of a bear. It's nice to have things like that for reading or whatever. You don't really want to have all these lights. The lights in here I put purposely on 3 separate switches like this. So I have the front, the middle, and the back. So the reason why I put them separate like that is just I don't want to think about some of these switch banks and what is what, right? I turn on my inverter. I turn it on right here. That powers the inverter. It beeps. It powers on my breaker panel, which right now is wired in 12 volt and 120 volt. Because again, we do have the short plug power, we have the transfer switch, and we have all of this that's wired in. We have a smoke detector right above this panel for obvious reasons, for safety, and that sits right there. There's the inverter. This electrical system was designed by me. I've really looked online a lot, and people overcomplicate things a lot and, you know, just make videos, but I mean, it's very simple. You have a load, you have a battery, you just need to make sure that the loads that you are planning on installing do not exceed your wire size. And what you can do is there's different calculators online, and you can search for a calculator. You can even search for voltage drop calculators, but mainly to figure out what wire gauge you're going to need to safely run all of your loads together plus some, right? And you know, you could search for fuse sizes because there's national codes here in America that govern and what, you know, how things are sized and fused. And I think it's fairly simple, but you have to do the research and your homework to make sure that you're safe and that, you know, the vehicle is safe, because this is all moving, and this is all you know, rubbing, and things are constantly moving. So this doesn't look pretty right now, but again, I have a reason for that, and that's because I want to see what is happening. I want to see if anything is majorly rubbing, if anything needs attention. Moving on, so right here, let's turn off my inverter right there. This shelf right here holds something. I'm gonna have like one of those little net things. This right here was gifted to me by my dear friend Stan, the man, right there. This is a little candle that you can light. However, you're inside of a van, so candles and vans don't really mix well together. But got a first aid kit, got some stuff that needs to go down there. So basically this is gonna have like one of those little net things right here, another shelf guide here, and then once you have the background, this is all gonna be able to have things on there without it flying off, like my little coffee thing. Oh, and I have the cups right here. There we go. We're in a place where we really can't make coffee right now, but I would demonstrate it, but I will. This just says Serbia in Cyrillic. All right, so coffee's over. Let's go put that away. Right here I have some you know, some miscellaneous stuff, sugar, my pots and pans. I got this cool thing off of Amazon. It holds all my spices. Voila. Right there, it looks like Cuban cigars with spices. What I really want to do there is maybe, you know, cut this off and get these button presses on, and maybe, you know, put it right there so I can take it off the wall and then put it back, and it's nice and organized, and it's been in here for some time. All right, moving on, some manuals down there, some other things. Right here, I made this cabinet. It's very strong, it's very good, of course. Some utensils, pans, pots, very simple to make. Let me show from here. Very simple to make. It doesn't look anything good, but again, I don't care. This is a camper van that is for camping. Here, again, I just came from a little adventure, so it's still got some water in it. This, as you see, I'm very high-tech. I have a flip phone and I have a clock. This was purchased in Tennessee. On my other channel, I made a video when I was like not stuck in Tennessee, but I was in Tennessee and my transmission went out and yada yada, all this stuff, and I couldn't wake up because the batteries kept draining. Everything was cold. Not the van's battery, but the phone and all the technology really wasn't working. So I went out to dollar store and found this, and it even has a light, and it's super cool because it just works on one battery. Doesn't require a subscription, which is kind of cool. All right, so continuing electrical right here. So the reason why this is like that is because number one, I want to be able to turn the switch on. This was all rewired in the back. It doesn't come like this, so this is something that I did. This turns on the main switchboard, right? And it gives me the voltage. It also gives me plugs here for a cigarette lighter and some chargers. What it also does is it allows me to turn things on, like the fan. My fan is right there and it's constantly wired, so I just turn it on and I turn it off. I have to go further and show you something because then it will make sense. And what I will show you is I will move my, oh, by the way, these are all custom what are they called, cushions, sewn, how do you say, sewn by me here. And this I have to perfect. It's not perfect. I'm gonna break a finger. Okay, wow, that was hard. So I have to create, basically, I already did a little cutout right here, as you can see, but I have to put some sort of a leather strap that will lay in there, and then it'll just, like a belt, almost like an old belt would be good to recycle, and you just pull it up. But the cool thing is I put a LED 12 volt. This is where my sleeping bags live, and there's more storage, and look how much storage you got just underneath this little one. So I got this thing right here, and basically what you do is, bam, right there, you turn it on, off, on. Look at how much light. Let's turn off everything else. Look at that. It's like you could see that from a mile away. All right, but let's see, you had a few beers at your campground, you knocked a few back, how you say, here, and you say, oh, I'm done, and you know, you forget about it, and there you go. Now something's draining your battery, right? It's constantly draining your battery. So the reason why I rewired this like this is because it's not draining my battery, and here's why. Because you see that little light, it shows you that there's something on, so I know my light is on right there, and that's the reason why I completely rewired this to make it how it is. And basically now you know that it's off, that it's on. You turn it off, and now that light turned off down there under the bed. If you don't want to use this anymore, you simply turn it off. Let me switch with my cameraman over here. You go sit on the, actually, well, no, it's a bit too far away. Right here. Okay, so let's sit right here and talk. Similarly to this, there's a light obviously on this side as well, and there's storage on this side, just like that. There's also a light on the back of this little thing right here, which I'll show you. What that is back is a trunk. I wanted my garage separate from this living space that you call living space, because again, I don't want to be breathing in these, you know, barbecue fumes or lighters or things like that that are just, this is my bed, like this is my bed. I don't have a grill next to my bed in my bedroom, so I'm not gonna have it in here, right? Same thing, no batteries under here, no electrical, nothing that I just want to have a good night's sleep. Like, I don't need any of that, right? So basically how the bed works is like this. We're gonna step out here, this pops up here, this pops up here, this goes here, and this goes here. Right there, you take a blanket and you put it over across or whatever, and now you have a bed. And look, it's really pretty strong. It can support me. I'll show you how it works, but basically you can lay down, and I am 6 foot or 5'9", or whatever, and you can lay down pretty easily, pretty good, pretty comfortably. Put some bed or put some bedding or put some blankets. I usually sleep in a sleeping bag because although the van is insulated, I do not want to have heaters in here for the main reason of condensation. Because when the van is hot from the inside and it's a metal box and you're cold on the outside, what happens is you get the differential in temperature and creates condensation. Similarly, how you have a hot summer day and you take a can of beer or soda and it condensates. So what I don't want is I don't want that condensation behind all these panels to start rusting out the van and to start creating problems. And again, for the same reason, I wanted to leave this open because I still have some circuitry to run through here. This van's only problem, aside from the transmission that went out, which is fixed now and it's good, is the electrical. I had some geniuses that were working with me that had a bad bulb that were using the van, and they were somehow diagnosed that it wasn't the bulb, and they rewired half the van's electrical with completely the wrong wire and everything along like that. Also ripped off my side door, but that's another story. So this van is the van's sentimental to me a lot because it was a company van when I was in construction, and it was my first van that I purchased, and it was driven by everybody who just is not the good driver. So somehow, miraculously, this thing survived. 220,000 miles, the transmission went out, so I can't say whether it's because of the good drivers or it's just, you know, Chevy transmission. They had weak transmissions, you know, in these vans. So now that it was rebuilt, they said that the torque converter and all these things, I'm not a mechanic, but all these things that needed to be beefed up are beefed up, and now it's good. So hopefully another 200 miles. But basically, yeah, so the van was a construction van, and I just felt bad getting rid of it. You know, I couldn't have probably gotten $1,000, $2,000 for it, which, you know, it is what it is. But I decided to keep it. I decided it's an expense added for the insurance. Obviously, you have to have insurance and everything here. But my dear children and I, we slowly worked on it as just you know, a hobby, and it's something that we, you know, built together, and I want to make sure that I have, and down the road somebody else can use or whatever. So that's the story, the background on the van. Let's go back to the tour. So the next thing I want to show you is my water system. Now, I overcomplicate things sometimes in life, and this was going to be one of them. My initial idea was to have a which I left a spare switch here. They sell these 12-volt DC valves, normally closed, power open. For the people that don't understand what that means, is that the valve is sitting closed, and then when it gets power applied, it opens the gate, right? So I wanted to have, and I still may do this, I still have stuff open, I wanted to have a holding tank for gray water underneath the van. There's these indicators that you can buy, these little floats that'll indicate, you know, when something is full, and just have a little control board with a light. So when the float starts shining red, indicating that the tank is 75% full, you come here and you press the button and it just opens the valve and it drains the water when you're somewhere where that water can be drained. If this is considered gray water, then you're somewhere where in a campground where you have to adapt the hose with like a quick connect that could easily be done with a 2-foot hose sticking out, and you just find it, grab it, and then put it into the gray water hole, the campground gray water disposal tank, whatever. I'm not suggesting for people to dump their gray water in nature. No, I'm just saying that if it was just sink water or water that you wash your hands with, I don't have a problem with dumping that. However, if it's dish soap and additional things that can contaminate nature, then you would dump it into the tank. But I see that those oil spills that the little ducks that get washed, they get washed with detergent. So if it's gentle for ducks, I don't know if it would cause that much harm for nature. But anyways, let's look at my system, the one I have right now, and that's a very simple system. Right here, I have to show you now because it's part of the tour. This is my first aid kit that gets to live there. Show this right here. This thing, I don't know how well we can see. We can see. Okay, so this thing right here is just a primitive way of, it's called a wood block or a stopper, I guess you would call it, and it just lives behind there. And what that prevents is this thing from moving back and forth, right? Because you don't want this thing coming out, jumping out at you when you're driving. So in here I have a 6-gallon container right there. Here I have a bottle cap with a 3/8 hose drilled to it and a straw on the bottom of it to weigh it down, because if you just stick this hose in there, it doesn't really do anything. It'll just float up because it's a hollow plastic hose and it'll float. So that gets clipped on there just for debris and little things to not find its way in there. This was my wife made some good tacos, so I felt like I needed this the next day, but I didn't because they were really good. So we won't show her that. This was gifted to me by my mom, and this soap literally you could eat. I mean, you can't eat it, don't eat soap, but what I'm saying is it smells, and it's just, if it's so delicious, like I almost feel like I could eat it. Don't eat soap. This right here is my little Dawn dish detergent. I don't know if it's Dawn or if it's maybe the generic little less expensive one, but it's dish detergent. Here's some baby wipes from one of our babies that's probably 10 years old by now, so that is done. That's that. And then this is some lovely chemical cleaners for when you need to clean stuff. Here's some water wipes for washing your hands. Check this out right here. This is another wood gate that is probably jammed in there. It's not, it's just I can't even get to it, but I'll get to it to show it because I have to show it. That gets moved right there. Here we go. We got to it. This right here is a water tank or water reservoir that you would get at the box store to replenish your water at home. What I did is I cut this, as you can see, this little thing, I cut that off because I couldn't move this and remove this, right? And the reason why I want to remove it is I want to just be able to dump it out into a proper dumping system. And what I do to mask any sort of odors from there is I just put a half of a cup. Oh, look at my microphone, it's like holding. There we go, that's better. So what I do is I put a half of a cup or half of a box of baking soda. I try to go for the cheapest stuff there is on the shelf, and it's usually like on sale from $1.99 to like $1.49 or 98 cents. I like the 98 cents better one, baking soda, and I just throw that in there. And then when I have my coffee grinds and when I cook my hot dogs or sausage or steak or whatever, and the coffee grinds and the fat stuff just combines into like cement for some reason in plumbing. So to prevent that, I put baking soda. So basically, let's assemble this whole thing back together. That goes there, that goes there. And the cool thing about this is you see these little things, they kind of hold it from jiggling, but I made it to where it doesn't really jiggle. You got some right here if you want to show the camera. Got some blocking. This is a 2x6 dimensional lumber in the USA. This right here is an old piece of trim board. This is an old piece of something, and it just basically lives right there. That's in case we ever have bad tacos again, or good tacos. This right here is Lysol. Oh, and the first aid kit that goes right there. So as you can see, without overcomplicating things, we have this. This right here is, that needs to go in there. We'll put that in there for now. Sorry about the noise, but it sounds like in my mom's house. I don't know why, but that woman just likes to slam those cabinets, and when I go there I get anxiety. How you say, like, it's just like bam, and it slams it. Okay, all right, so although joking aside, Mom, you know we love you. Oh look, there's a little oh, that guy didn't survive. That's from Tennessee. There was a full van of them. We'll just let him go here to rest in peace in the Florida grass. This thing was only like $15 or $18 or something from Amazon, and it just works. And then that water right there just goes into that tank. And this was a garage sale find. I don't know, and I paid 15 cents for this. I'm not kidding. I had to get change back from a quarter. So basically, it just, look, it plugs in there, right there. And this is just a little bowl that, you know, you eat salad out of or whatever. This is my attempt to make a countertop. It's not really good because it's not really sealed. I don't get water on here. I always have, you know, paper towels, but I will have to either epoxy this or redo it. And then the paper towels live here, and the cool thing, I don't have any paper towels actually right now, but the cool thing is the paper towel roll lives in here like that. And then what I'm thinking, to make some of those U holders and basically have a you know, have the rod, if you will, for the paper towels to live there, and then you can just unroll and then slam the door. But see, this door, this is like IKEA. This is like that fancy stuff. This doesn't slam. Look, see, compared to this. Oh well, now yeah. See, that slams. It's like bam. But this, look, beautiful. So, and I think what it is because I put nice carpeting on the back. Right there. All right, enough joking aside. We have a carbon monoxide and a smoke detector. I believe that's carbon. No, it's only carbon monoxide. I have a Velcro thing here because when I'm sleeping and I want to look at my my clock, or that's not a watch, it's a clock. My clock, yeah. The clock itself has a Velcro on the back and on the bottom, so it's multi-position. And it just, it's the most amazing thing. It just goes there, and it doesn't really hold on, but I'm gonna make a shelf for it. That's a future video. We'll make a shelf and the paper towel holder. But for here, it lives right there, and it's good. When I was learning to sew all this, I made glasses because I'm old and I wear glasses. I made this little thing out of the remainder of the carpeting that I had in here, and it's very proud of this. It's just a piece of you know, thing that you put your glasses in, and I don't know where my glasses are. Let's look at this from here real quick. This is the current display of conditions of the battery, if you will. All right, so I think that completes that. Oh, future plans. I mean, this is like, you know, we got to talk about what we're going to remodel. So this right here is going to receive a chase. That's also going to be shelves, right? Because I like to read books. So I'm going to be able to put some books because, you know, one side is okay to be lower because you just sleep here. You're not, and when you sit, you can still have. I want to show you this cool thing. This is also a garage sale find. This is a little bird. So I'm a photographer, and I like birds somehow all of a sudden, and this is just a nice bird off of a garage sale. I like to refer to myself as a professional hobby photographer. How about that? So this thing right here is also cool. I found this in one of the kids' toys a long time ago and saved it for some reason. And you turn it on and it's this like barely working little string light, but I love turning it on when I'm reading a book because, this is like London at night, all these lights, so I prefer this, and it makes my bird have the special glow, if you will. All this stuff's protected. This is nice birch plywood right here, and I put the edging, and hopefully when everything's done you'll have the tolerances of this. This right here will receive a trim piece over this once I'm completed and once I'm done. And I want to share one thing with you why I decided to do this in sections, because you have the 1, the 2, the 3 section that holds the fan, and then the 4th section in the bedroom. For the simple reason I decided to do it in sections is because I have a fear that this thing may leak at some point, and it already did due to that thing up there, right? So if it is, or if it does leak and it gets past the 10 layers of the Gorilla Crocodile whatever tape they sell, I will be okay, because then I just take this panel off and I don't have to redo the whole roof. Because I don't know if you've seen some of these people, they go in there with like this whole sheet of plywood and they're wrestling for an hour, and it says, instead of like in SpongeBob it says 15 minutes later, it's like 15 days later they finally got it on. Like, no, simple, just create 4 panels and take it off when you need it. All right, that's done. So let's think. Oh yeah, the last thing, I showed this on my other channel, but for some reason people like birds more than the van. Yeah, so here what I did, this is a recycled blind, or one of those things that goes up and down in the window. And here I'll let my cameraman hold it so I have a better angle and I don't choke myself to that. There we go. So this thing, actually let's put the bed back. Go back there please. And let's put the bed back, and I will demonstrate how the bed functions. See how easy that was, and nice to do. Right there, that goes right there. So let's see from here. Actually, if we can hold that right there. Beautiful. So from here, I have my hands go in, and they take these 2 notches and they pick it, and it falls in. Let me show you the different angle. From here, I routed the 2 notches, and what you're looking at is this thing right here. This, my friends, is one of those shelf things that people put on the side of the little water box and any cabinets because they need extra space. Obviously I'm living luxury here. I got like 5,000 square feet, so I don't need extra space. It's a van. But what I do need is a good place to sleep, right? A good solid platform. And as you can see, this is very solid, and it easily just stows away. So when you're sitting here, even with the little shelf, even with the little bird, is that an airplane? I thought that was an airplane line. Maybe we're parked on a runway. No. So even with your bird and everything, you still got room to sit. And I mean, it's a little rubbing, but I mean, that's okay. Yeah, this right here is a backrest. See, this is why it's so hard to be a professional YouTuber, because you got so many environmental factors that are just constantly messing with you. So I got this guy driving around on a go-kart Harley, and I'm gonna have to go have a talk with him right now. But that's okay. this is his land as much as mine. All right, so let's go back here. So basically, yeah, this, all joking aside, this right here is just a repurposed blind from a room. If you want to come over here closer, I want to show them how I made this. So basically, right here, there's a little clip. Right there, there's a little clip. I don't know what you call these things. I put them. Got some leather, little leather straps, and this is supposed to be like super snap easy, but oh, there you go. I have to hold it. No, there's two. They're coming to attack us. Okay, so yeah, those little snap things and snap rings or snap something. Search snap something on Amazon, it'll come up. That basically gets in there. And now this thing isn't going like this when you're driving, because I just bought a Home Depot one and I put it up and I'm like, look, it works. And then I stepped on a brake and the thing fell off and flew, and you can never fix those things once they're gone. If you see, I have screen. The reason why I have screen is because I don't like bugs and things like, you know, I like bugs. I mean, they're great, but like when I'm sleeping and, you know, I don't want like a thing crawling on me or something. So I put this and I block this off. This is perfectly sealed, not from here, again, for the reason of having to replace the electrical things, because some of my brake lights keep going out for some reason. So once this is all closed up, it'll be carpeted like this right here. All right, so we got some go-kart Harley people here. All right, so that's it. Nice solid platform right here to sit on. While I'm out here, I'm going to show you the battery system. So the battery lives in this toolbox, like I mentioned. This is the dual component glue that you mix, and it becomes super hard. And what this does is just covers the actual holes that I had to drill from here, screws that hold the frame that the battery is sat into. You have your conduit, which is right here, and then that runs into the bottom of the van. Everything's been sealed, painted to prevent rust, and then from there those little things go into the wall and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and open up this compartment here. I think I have it unlocked. I do. All right, and it just barely clears the metal, the framing, which is wonderful. So over here, of course, I have a fuse, the main battery fuse, my negative and positive terminals. This is the strap. As you can see, this battery is not going anywhere. And then you could see, hopefully, some of the framing or the pressure-treated wood that it was used to create the box. Those things right there that you see, those are the bolts that have gone through here to hold this attached to this L profile bracket, and then this L profile bracket was held here with bolts into the main frame. Now, this was where the original spare tire was mounted. So obviously I lost the spare tire. So for that reason, I had to get an externally mounted tire rack. The most basic, inexpensive thing that I was able to see or to find. Bolts from inside. And you have your spare tire mounted here. Something in the future that I'm going to do here for this is I want to create some sort of a smoke detector or some sort of a, auxiliary, if you will, cautioning system in case that the battery ever, does create smoke or any off-gassing or anything like that, if this thing can sense it, it would trigger some sort of an alarm inside. In the HVAC industry, in the electrical industry, there's things that could be sort of configured to work with this with a little bit of ingenuity. So for now, I just have it like this. It's gone through a summer, it's gone through a winter. I've been in very cold, I've been in very hot. I haven't had any issues. And another thing that I will do first is basically the Renogy system that I chose to use has a battery temperature sensor for the electrical. So I have to splice that cable, figure out if that's going to interfere with the resistance and everything like that, and then basically extend that cable to reach down here, and that way that can just be connected to the factory Renogy system. Okay, so now that I have the trunk, or the garage as I call it, open, plywood floor with foam board insulation on the inside, and then I have this vinyl covering that I will eventually trim out to make it more suitable aesthetically. Here's a box that I built. This will be the main disconnect switch right here for the shore power, right? So the main shore power cable goes through this disconnect box. I think I can, actually I have it screwed down. But this will receive a breaker that has a switch and another means of protection. So you will have a breaker on the breaker panel of the campground. You will have a breaker here, and then you will have a breaker inside on the main panel that I showed you earlier. So this obviously has to be sealed right here, and then from here there will be a piece that will seal this from the van. So it's very good, but it's still not 100% sealed the way I would like it to be. And the whole idea with sealing this is that I'm able to open this when the weather is nice and not worry about, you know, rodents or whatever, just stuff going in. All of this will receive doors that are going to be sealed, you know, with little locks to keep them closed. And basically that storage, sorry about the mess, but I was just out doing some stuff in the woods, and you know, just using this. So obviously it's messy, but basically all of this storage can be accessed through the bed, how I've shown it before. We have some storage or leveling blocks, some extra coolant and oil. Never had to use that extra, but it's just good to have. Another fire extinguisher right here, and all the tire roadside assistance things that you will need if a tire goes out. So that's kind of the, you know, tolerances that I'm going for here. Once everything is done, obviously it will be much better. I really like this idea with the screen. This is just basic pool screen that you would have on a pool cage, because, you know, when you open this at night and you turn the fan on, it just creates such a nice amount of intake for air. This is where I keep my axes for now. That will receive cards, door cards as you call them, and then some, you know, hooks and stuff like that. And if you want to see how I connected this, is I have I don't know how well you can see from the sun, maybe down here. I have these bolts that go through, and they have rubber to create some sort of little more vibration isolation, because, you know, when you close this, and I try not to slam this door because this thing is very heavy, you know, it does flex, you know, so when you slam the door. So I just try to be gentle with it. I have to clean up some of this excess silicone, but it doesn't leak. And I painted the holes once I drilled them, so to prevent rust. You know, this is the original sort of paint, and then this is the Rhino line, as you can see how it was just painted. But again, this is just going to be the first layer, and then we'll see what we can do with a different color. Here, also going to create a pocket for some storage, maybe even here, you know, standard door for a Chevy van. That's it. So I think that wraps it up, guys. I really appreciate you watching my video. Please like and subscribe and share this video if you found it interesting, and if you gotten any ideas from this. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and you know, I'll continue making these videos. Again, thank you. Appreciate everyone watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.